Can you see me okay? Everybody's okay?
That's the most important thing.
Can I tell you?
I'm watching. I think we are live.
You are.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So great. Wonderful. Thanks so much for those of you who are joining. Just want to really quick tell you about what tonight's ADS chat is about. This is a PR chat with AJC journalist, one of the top journalists here, Ernie Suggs. So we'll tell you about him in just a moment. But this is really for people who've ever tried to do a press release, ever tried to get their name out there and struggled with it. They sent out a press release and nobody picked it up and they don't know why, and they put all this time into writing something up, and you want your business featured and you just don't know why nobody cares about your story. So if you are one of those people, if you are a small business owner, a church, nonprofit, whatever you may be that may have an interest in having your story run somewhere, this is probably the best place for you to be right now. And make sure you share this with those of your friends who are interested in this as well. So just checking. Oh, Amy. Hi, Amy. Amy's here. We're attempting to actually watch this for the first time. So this is our second live broadcast. So we're trying to see who's signing in and how all that works. So, and I have my trusty little timer here. So this is 30 minutes. I will not keep you past 30 minutes.
I can talk a long time.
Yay! Jim and Mark, I see you. You can see them right here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Amos, hello. Yeah. David, hi. Thanks so much for joining us. Mrs. Vonsell Hunter, the newly Mrs. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations from Ernie. Yay, Jim. Hello from Arizona. Awesome. Awesome. So cool. We're just waiting just a moment for people to chime in. So while people are joining us today, again, just to remind you, we're here to talk about PR tips. So Ernie Suggs, he's got 20 years in the game. He's been with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And I've had the pleasure of meeting with him several times now. And I said, Ernie, you would be so great, like perfect to share your tips.
I don't know about perfect. But
I think it's perfect, you know, because we just had so many great conversations about this. And I said, I know so many people who could benefit from hearing your tips from your perspective on what people are doing right and wrong. This is somebody who gets thousands of tips a day, thousands of please put my story in, Mr. Suggs. And, you know, there are certain people he pays attention to for some reasons and certain people that he doesn't. So you need to learn how to be one of those people that somebody like Ernie Suggs pays attention to. So that's what this is about.
All right.
So just a little background on Ernie. Ernie is a graduate of North Carolina Central University. Also Harvard. He is also my fraternity brother, a man of Alpha Phi Alpha. Shout out to the sorors, as always. And has been the past vice president, right, of the National Association of Black Journalists. Also a big Prince fan, New York Yankees fan. Yay, our camera guy also is a fan of New York, too. Guy from Greenville. Hey, Terrence. So awesome. So just wanted you to know, in so many ways, Ernie is the man in PR. So.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, in
journalism.
Yeah.
Journalism. And so and he's going to help us with PR tips today. So.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
And welcome to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I failed to mention, we are in, if you cannot see these wonderful logos in the background, we're in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's headquarters, would you call this?
Yeah, headquarters. Newsroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. Thank you so much
the
for
room
that.
where it happens.
Where the magic happens. Awesome. So, so now that we're here, I just wanted to remind you that we do welcome your questions. We're going to try to see them live here. We have a little bit of delay on our end, but do ask your questions anyway when we see them pop up. Anything related to PR, anything related to how to get your story placed, please ask them, and we'll be sure to answer them as we see them. And if we don't even answer them live, make sure you ask them anyway, and we'll answer them afterwards. So don't be afraid to ask your questions. None of them are stupid unless, don't say anything stupid. But All right, so awesome. So AJC, and just a point for people who aren't in the Atlanta area, this is the major newspaper here. It has 1.2 million readership here in the Atlanta area. So it is the go-to daily newspaper. So very excited to be here. And we've got a couple of tips for you today. There are 5 key tips, and Ernie and I are just going to chat through those and help you with those. Anything you want to say before we get started?
No, I'm just, as I said, I'm excited to be here. You know, I've been, as you mentioned, I've been doing this for 20 years here at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So I deal with a lot of PR people all the time. So every day, all of us here every day, we have good relationships with them, bad relationships with them. But I think the key is, and we'll talk about these, is just kind of building a relationship in which both sides can be trusted. And that trust doesn't necessarily mean trust in the traditional sense, but trust that they're going to give us stuff that we can actually use, and them trusting that we're going to use what they give us in a good, respectful way, and that we can get a personal trust in how we're going to use stuff and how they're going to give us stuff. So, you know, the relationships, I have some really good friends who are in PR who help me out a lot, and I help them out a lot. So it's just, you know, and it's just a matter of building those relationships. So I look forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Very wonderful. So first tip we have here for everyone is know your goal. So you need to know, why are you even trying to get in the paper, on TV, in a magazine, wherever in the first place. So, you know, and we had a great conversation about this, because I think Ernie gets news tips all the time. He gets, you know, requests, you know, please run my story on Home and Garden. And Ernie is a politics and a race reporter. So, you know, why would you ever approach him about Home and Garden? So tell us a little bit about some of your stories there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when you're pitching stuff to a newspaper or the television station. You know, we also, one of the things for you all listening out there is that we're owned by Cox Media, and we also own WSB TV, which is the largest TV station in the city. So you're going to be pitching stuff to us. You're going to be pitching stuff to WSB, to all the other TV stations and print outlets. And what you want to do is try to find out who you need to pitch information to. One of the most frustrating things that we all get are pitches that are no way related to what we do. So, you know, I cover race and culture, politics. So I may get pitches on sports. I may get pitches on products that are coming out. I may get pitches on some entertainer that no one has ever heard about who's coming to town. And I'm not the person to do that. So it's important for you to understand who you're pitching individually, as as well as the outlet. You know, you're not going to pitch the Wall Street Journal a story about an entertainer. You're not going to pitch WSB a story about something that you know that they don't cover. So it's important that you understand which reporters to go after, and how your product relates to the particular outlet in which you're pitching to. Because you know, if it doesn't work for them, they're not going to do it.
Right, which is right in line with our second point, by the way, is to, hey Ray. That's Ray Abram. Yeah, our friend Ray Abram. So our second point is to go where your audience is. You know, don't go approaching Home and Garden about something that's completely unrelated. If you're neuroscience or whatever, you know, that just doesn't make sense. But people do it because they just blanket everyone and say, I'm just going to hit up every reporter I can find and hope it sticks. You know, so that never works, and it's likely annoying to a lot of journalists. So if you've ever thrown your pitch out there and wondered why no one picks it up, that's probably number one of the biggest reasons why. And you've got a whole big list of pet peeves too.
And I understand the pressure that you might be under if you have a client who wants his product out or who wants his message out, and he says, hey, we want you to pitch this. We have, you know, I have friends who have worked at the paper, who've gone into public relations, who have pitched stuff to all of us here, and who have said to us, you know, I know this is not something that you guys are going to run, but I got to pitch it, you know. And that's fine. I understand that. We all understand that you have a job to do, just like we have a job to do. But it's important that I think it's important if you have clients, that you communicate with your clients as to what their expectations should be. A lot of times, you know, people expect, oh, they got something that they're doing, it should be on the front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It should be the lead story on WSB at 6 o'clock. And that's not going to be the case a lot of times. And also, we have different ways in which we can tell your story. It may not be a front page story, it may not be a metro story, but it may be a brief, it may be a calendar item that we can run. So there are different ways in which you can get your story told, but you got to find the right person to give the story to.
Right. And
Or
you're nicer than most people because
he
will actually, we talked about this, but he'll actually, try to redirect people, as he can, as he has time. He's busy writing tons of stories all the time.
Yeah.
But as he gets time, he may try to actually redirect people. You actually prefer when people call you as opposed to email.
Yeah, well, when you say read, I will read first or redirect someone to someone. There's two things. You email me or you call me. If you call me and you happen to get me, I'll talk to you. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm going to listen to what you got to say because I know you're working. And I'm going to direct you in the right place. I'm going to say, hey, this is a story that Bill Torpy needs to be writing, or this is a story that Roz Bentley needs to be writing. You may want to call them. Or I may, sometimes if I am feeling a bit snippy, I may say, well, how many people have you called? Because sometimes, and if I had time to go through my pet peeves.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you'll blanket a whole newsroom. None of the newsroom has responded. Then you'll start calling people saying, hey, I'm just following up on my story about sports.
Right.
Ernie Suggs, who covers race, are you interested in doing it? And I'm like, well, have you called such and such and such? And they'll say, well, they'll either say, yeah, I've called 10 people. Nobody's responded. Or I haven't called anybody. And thank you for letting me know who to call. Now, on the other hand of that, when you send blanket emails, I generally will not respond. And it's not because I don't want to respond, but I get so many emails. If I don't know who you are, I don't know who the product is, it's not even worth my time to respond. So that's, again, goes to the point of establishing a relationship. If I know who you are, or if I know what company you're representing, I will email you back. But if I don't know who you are, there's no need for me to email you back. Just say that I'm not going to do it. Unless it's something. Now, there are instances where I have people that pitch me stories. I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. So I'll read it, but I'm not going to respond to it if I'm not interested. Yeah, because you do get good stories, and I don't want to mitigate that fact that there are some good stories that come through that we'll pick up, because we need I don't mean to dominate the conversation.
No, you're fine. No, this is what we're here for.
We need stories, so this is what we do. We have hundreds of reporters here, and we need stories, and we're looking for stories. So we want good stories. It's just a matter of you delivering those ideas and those pitches to who needs to write the story, and making that story something that we want to write or want to cover.
Right, which is so many good golden nuggets there that are so basic, but people don't know it. You know, and when you're an entrepreneur or otherwise, especially in the beginning, you're wearing so many hats. You are everything. You're the chief cook and bottle washer, as they say. You do everything. So it would behoove you to know some of these tips, just so you're not one of those people whose nice hard work, ideally you would put in a good bit of hard work into your pitch, gets thrown in the trash because of some of these mistakes.
Exactly.
So, and he's mentioned this twice now about relationships, forming relationships with the right journalists, with the right reporters. So there's something to that, and he can mention that as well. But what I love for you to do, because I think this is the perfect time to chat about. Oh, Harold Reed said great insight. He's PR also.
Hey, Harold.
Awesome. Oh, and Von Selmuller says, what's the best way for people to get to know you? Oh, perfect for relationships. Thank you, Von Selmuller.
I mean, just a simple way is just call. Just say, hey, if you, Von Sel, is that your name? Von Sel, if you have an idea, or even if you don't have an idea, and you want to say, hey, I want to really get into the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, I want to really get into a certain media market, it doesn't hurt you to call a reporter and say, hey, I don't have anything I want to pitch right now, but I want to just build up a relationship with you. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you cover, how I can get in contact with you, how I can pitch stories to you, how I can be of help to you. And that's important. It doesn't always, every call that you make doesn't have to be pitching. But if you're just starting out, you're just new to the market, you're new to your company, it doesn't hurt you to call the media or call different people in the media and say, hey, you will be hearing from me at some point. And if you call me and say you will be hearing from me at some point, I'm more than likely to pick up your phone, call, or more likely to respond to your email. Even if you send me a story that I don't like, I'm still more than likely to say, hey, this is not going to work, and this is why it's not going to work. Or you should call my colleague, and they'll hook you up.
Right. Excellent tips. So this is an interesting one you may like from Guy in Greenville. He says, Given that Mr. Ernie has a background in political journalism, what advice would he give to someone who wants to initiate true bipartisan reform of our broken healthcare system in today's fractured and divisive political environment? Thousands of people are counting on me to be their go-to source for individual. I'm sorry, it doesn't let me read the rest right here. But what would you say to Guy?
Well, I mean, Guy, if you want to get your story out, if I'm reading your message correctly, it's probably good for you to build a relationship with someone on an editorial board, on an editorial desk, to get that story out or to get that message out. It's going to be hard for you to be seen as I don't know what your background is, so you may be seen as an expert. If you're an expert on a topic, if you have a PhD in public health, or you work for a university, or you've written books about public health, you can become an expert in something that we can use you to call you, and that's another part we'll probably talk about later. But if not, and you just want to get your story out there, if you want to get your message out there, it's good, to reach out to the editorial boards of all the papers that you're interested in writing for, or getting your message out and say, hey, I got this. Here's a couple of samples of my work. What do you think? And here's a letter. Here's a letter to the editor that you might be interested in. Here's an op-ed that you might be interested in. So there are different ways in which you can do that.
Okay. So we're going to pause right quick. And I love these questions. Oh, my gosh,
great.
I can't even keep up with all your questions. So we're going to try to get to them. And please keep asking them, because we will answer them even after we're done. If we don't get to it live, afterwards we'll go back and answer your questions. So please feel free to ask away, and thank you for them. Yeah. I also want to give Ernie the opportunity right now to share some of his pet peeves. I think he polled some of his people from the National Association of Black Journalists and asked, what are your pet peeves when people are pitching you? So these look great, and I just want you to share some of them. I was sneaking a peek at some of them. They look good.
All right, so what I did was, as you mentioned, I used to be the National Vice President of the National Association of Black Journalists. So I have a lot of friends. So I posted on their Facebook page last night, give me some of your pet peeves about dealing with public relations experts. And so this is some of the things they told me. And this is not a comprehensive list, but just some things. My main pet peeve is this: thank for pitching me the story, now let me write it. Which means when you pitch a story, don't expect it to run in the paper like you sent the press release. Let me write it, let me handle it. And we can work together, but it's a counterproductive process to expect that your press release is going to run on the paper verbatim. So that's one of the things. Is when PR people don't bother to research what you actually write, which is what I mentioned before.
Right, what we said before.
My pet peeve is when PR people know nothing about the platform they're pitching to, which is a thing we also mentioned. I'll skip that one. A press release is not the same as a pitch. Just shooting me an embedded release is not enough to make me want to cover your client. And I think that's another thing that we said.
We did say, do not blanket. Do not blanket mass send your email to a bunch of people. It will not go anywhere.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll skip that. Okay. My biggest pet peeve is when PR folks are not readily available with a high-res headshot or an image. And that's another thing, it's important that when you're pitching to us, pitch us the full package. That includes photographs, that includes contact numbers, that includes how to get in contact with you after hours, if it's something that's going on after hours, or if we need to contact you after hours. Just give us as much information as you can. And be as open and honest as you can, because, when you pitch us a story, it's very important to understand for those of you who are just getting into the business or just starting your own shops. When you pitch us a story, we're going to report the story. We're not going to just take what you give us and write it like you gave it to us. We're going to report the story.
Right.
So we're going to want to talk to people. We're going to want to, verify what you're giving us. You want to, if someone says, hey, I'm about to open up the biggest black-owned bank in Atlanta. Let's just say, I'm just throwing that out.
Sure.
We're about to open up the biggest black-owned bank in Atlanta. Here's a press release. Here's my CEO. I'm not going to run a story that says you're opening up the biggest black-owned bank in Atlanta without verifying it, without verifying and checking on, talking to different bankers and just talking to the industry to verify what you say. You may be one of the biggest, but you can't expect us to, just kind of run with everything that you say.
Right.
You know.
Because this is not a commercial for your business.
It's not.
Which
yeah,
is
it's
point number 5. We're skipping around, but that's okay. We're just going with it. My 5th point was about forgetting about your business or product. This is not a free commercial for you, but that's what we often think as business owners. You know, I need to get my name out there. I need brand awareness. I need everyone to know I'm the best personal trainer in Atlanta. I need everyone to know I'm the best cupcake baker ever. You know, and that's great. And we know you believe in yourself, and you should. But it has to have value to the readership.
Yeah, exactly. And there are things that you may be pitching as well that, as I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be a story, but we can still find room for it to be in the paper. We have calendar items. So if your church is, for example, having a week of vacation Bible study, you know, we can put that in the calendar every day. Today you're going to have, Monday you're going on a trip. Tuesday you're going to have basketball. Wednesday pastors coming in from, you know, wherever to speak. We can have that. We can also have briefs to say, you know, First Baptist Church will be having a bake sale on Saturday to raise money for the annual trip. We can run a brief on that. We can't write a full story. No, not at all. There's no cost on it. It's a brief. And you know, that's kind of different. You know, there is, you know, you can buy an ad if you want to, but you know, this is a service that we do. Yeah, we provide calendar items and we write briefs, community briefs. So, you know, if it's presented to us in a good way, I think a lot of times when you don't establish relationships, that these small items that we can run and we have no problem running get lost. You know, if you're just blanking in the paper with them, if you're not communicating with the reporters,
the wrong people.
Yeah, it's going to get lost. You know, and again, as I said, we want to write stories. We're looking for stories. Every story that we get helps us at the end of the year in terms of our numbers. So we have to have numbers. So we want your stories. We just got to have them in a good way because we get so many.
Exactly.
And we don't want you to be left out.
So this is a fun question, actually, from Calvin Thorborn, who's our cameraman. If you haven't noticed, we have a camera guy here today. What is the best HBCU for media and journalism? And he is biased, and we should not say what the bias is.
I'm not going to say read the whole thing.
I know it is. That's all I saw.
Oh,
no,
it said, I know the answer is Hampton.
Well, as a graduate of North Carolina Central University, which
That's what you think.
yeah, which was voted the best college newspaper in the country last year. But you know, North Carolina Central University, where I went to school, Hampton, of course, is a good school. Howard University with the Johnson School of Communications is good. Florida A&M has a good program. Clark Atlanta, right here in Atlanta, has a good program. I was recently at Savannah State, where I won a big, you know, National Journalism Award, and Clark Atlanta University was the top local school in Georgia to win a lot of awards. So those are some of the, you know, top 5 schools that have really good programs. Hampton, you know, of course.
That's a wonderful, non-biased answer. But
Yeah.
Howard, yeah, there's Howard people chiming in all over, and actually there's so an architect here, Mark Johnson. He's actually one of the lead architects for the Center for Civil and Human Rights here.
Hey, Mark.
He's asking, as an architect here in Atlanta, I, along with my colleagues in our industry, have found it difficult to be recognized by news organizations such as the AJC for the visionary work we do. I'm hoping I can see the rest of this. As new buildings are written about, in most cases, and for the most known projects in Atlanta, the architect and firm is not recognized. And that's all it will let me see, sorry.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great question. And I think it depends on how you expect to be recognized. So what are your expectations for your company and your business?
The rest of the question was, what are we missing as we try to promote ourselves?
Thank you.
Okay.
That was the rest.
I mean, I think it depends on what the buildings are, or what you are building, what you're designing, how you're designing those. I mean, obviously you have high-profile projects that are going up. The Georgia Dome, for one. Obviously, the Center for Civil and Human Rights, which is that what he said he did?
Well, that is one of his projects.
Yeah. The Center for Civil and Human Rights is a major project. So I'm not sure why we haven't done a story about the design of that. I can look into that. But again, I think it also depends on who you have dealing with who you have working with us, who you have working with you in terms of reaching out to the media. And you know, again, I have to be very careful in how I say this, but it's not a newspaper is not an advertising venue for you.
Right.
So
Point number 5.
Yeah. So we got to be careful about for example, I went to high school with a woman who designed the new Smithsonian building.
Oh,
And
really?
that, she went to high school with me. She's a great architect. But that building was so iconic and so historically unique that there were stories about the design of it. But I don't know if we've written stories about a lot of design here in Atlanta.
Right.
That's a good point. So hopefully, maybe you can give me. I guess you have my email at the end.
Yes.
Maybe you can reach out to us.
And I do think we're going to go back to a point you've not heard yet, point number 4, which is have a story. So this is the point that, and LV, I see your question. We're going to get it. We're going to get to that one. Number 4, have a story. So there's ways to make this interesting for a journalist like Ernie or others to write about you and find your story newsworthy. So yes, you do want recognition for yourself as a professional, recognition for your company, your organization, whatever it is. But you have to find a way to make it a story. And how do we do that? One of the top keys is to make sure that it's relevant. Relevant to what's happening now, that it's timely. You have to find a way to make it interesting. And how do we do that? Well, and this is Andrea speaking, so you can chime in as well.
It's your
show. But one of the things is you are an expert. Most people, if you do something all day, every day, you're likely an expert at it. Some people are afraid to use that term, and you can chime in where you want to. But going back to the cupcake example, if you make cupcakes all day, you're probably one of the very best cupcake people. We hope you are around, at least in your local area. So there may be a national cupcake day, one of those weird, odd little holidays. There's a million of them every day. You can go and Google them. That should be something you can be planning for and take advantage of that, several months ahead of time, weeks ahead of time. Be thinking about your interesting way to pitch that, to your local TV station, to the right journalist at the AJC potentially, not necessarily, but, finding that right person, as we mentioned before, and number 3, doing your homework. But that's a way to be relevant and interesting, especially on a slow day, if it's a Saturday or something for a TV station.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we depend on experts a lot. When things happen, whether it's an accident or whether it's the 85 collapse, we depend on experts, architectural experts and engineering experts, If it's something political, we depend on political experts. So for the person who asked that question about architecture, we design experts. If you are an expert on a topic, let us know. Talk to reporters about what you do, or have your people let us know what you do, so we can have you on our call list, so that we can be calling you when we need quotes on stories and whatever. And that kind of builds your kind of reputation within the industry and within the journalistic industry.
All right.
Yeah, there are people that we call all the time. And we need more people. We always can use more people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Elvia's question, I promised Elvia I would get back to her question. Is it okay to ask to see the note or write-up before it is published? The article.
No. No, it's not.
That's a good question.
Because, as I said, we are professionals, and the reason that if you want to follow up the question, the reason that you want to see that is perhaps that you want to change something, or you want to say, well, we want this higher, or we want this exposed more or promoted more, and we can't do that. So we're a newspaper. We have to be objective. We have to get both sides of the story. If there's if it has two sides, so we can't give you the story after we've written it to let you approve it before we put it in the paper. Now we have some reporters, and I have no problem with this, but rereading quotes. So if I interview your CEO and it's a big story or whatever, I may call you and say, hey, I want to make sure that this quote is right. But in terms of just like having you approve the story, because I think that's what you're asking, if you can approve the story. A good journalist will not let you do that, and shouldn't let you do that. You shouldn't expect that.
Exactly. Hi, Corey. Thanks for joining. So, and Elvia did say she thought that's what you would say. So we're going to take this one last question.
I can be here all night.
Well, yes, he can be here all night. Try to respect your time and be on time. However, we will get back to these questions even after this is not live. And before we answer these last questions, please stick around for the thank yous at the end. And also want to encourage you to share this with your friends, even after it's not live anymore. For those who share it, we're giving away 3 Starbucks gift cards today for the first person who shares it. And also for the final person who shares it by, what's today? Tuesday? By end of day Friday. So midnight Friday, whoever was the last person to share it by then also gets a Starbucks gift card. And then we'll randomly pick someone. So please do share, like, comment, share. And thank you so much for all your questions. This last question is from David Patterson.
Okay.
It says, a question for Ernie. After the 5 key points, blogs are becoming a powerful tool for online exposure. What tips on writing would you give to amateur writers on structuring a 300 to 500 word blog? What resources would you recommend to be a better writer?
My college professor at North Carolina Central University, which, as I mentioned, had one of the greatest journalism programs in the world, told us that the best way to become a good writer, the best way to become a better writer, is to read. So read as much as you possibly can. Read blogs and subject matters that you are interested in to kind of give you an idea as to how other people are doing things. But also reading a lot as a writer infuses things in your mind. It kind of influences how you write. So I used to write all the time listening to Malcolm X speeches. So I would be writing, listening to his speeches that kind of influence how I wrote. But I think in terms of blogs, and I think in terms of personal ways in which people get their own information out, I think the biggest downfall to that is people who are not, who are writing off the top of their head, and they're not writing using any kind of research. They're just writing. They just say, I'm going to sit down and write something because I feel that I'm an expert in something. Or I'm going to write something and I'm not going to check the grammar. Or I'm not going to spell check it. Things like that, small things like that, if you read the first paragraph of someone's blog and they got 2 or 3 grammatical errors in it, run-on sentences, you're not going to read anymore. So I know that you're a smart person and that you're not going to make these mistakes, but I think it's important that anyone out there who wants to start a blog or wants to get their message out on a blog or a vlog or a podcast or something, it's very, very important that you are as professional as possible and that you present yourself in a way that's professional so people can take you seriously. If people don't take you seriously, you're not going to do well. We get books here. We get tons and tons of books, a lot of self-published books. And, we get self-published books with the title. There's grammatical errors in the title. Mm-hmm. And, we don't read it. We can't review that book if it has a grammatical error in it.
On the title.
Yeah. We can't review your blog, or you can't take your blog serious if you have grammatical errors. Or if you're just writing and you're not you're not presenting a lot of different angles and nuance to your writing. If you're just writing spewing
that's a good point.
Off the top of your mind, off the top of your head, then you're just basically spewing off the top of your head, and who wants to read that? We want to read something that has
is
some
of
kind
value,
of substance.
is right.
Yeah.
So it needs to be interesting and all those things. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. Marcus, Tammy, all of you guys, thank you so much. And again, we will announce the people who are winners for the Starbucks gift cards for those who shared. Thank you for sharing. And this will also get shared on the AJC Sepia page, or Sepia, however you prefer to pronounce that, which I would love for you to share about what AJC Sepia. I don't want to get my own version, but I don't want to mess it up.
Well, as you mentioned, I cover race and culture, politics here. And one of the ways in which we get our content out on Facebook is called AJC Sepia. And it's AJC space Sepia, S-E-P-I-A. So go to that page and like that page, and you'll find we cover a lot of black content, a lot of content of interest to people of color that we've written, and it comes from all over the country. Like this week, we've done a lot of stuff on Black Panther, the movie that's coming out. We've done a lot of stuff on the Loving case, which was the anniversary was yesterday. So I urge you to subscribe to that. One of the projects that I'm working on is called Read Race, which if you go to myajc.com/race, and that's a year-long project that we're working on at the paper on race. And it's very important, the work we're doing. We think it's important. We hope it's important. And we hope you'll check it out. We've got some really, really good stuff out there.
Awesome. You can also find Ernie if you do Twitter, and I know some of you do. You can find him at Ernie Suggs, ErnieSuggs on Twitter. He is an avid tweeter.
Yes, I tweet a lot.
Yes, he does.
So follow me.
Follow him, share his stories. They're excellent. I love that one about the art recently. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Surprise for you. This is a little gift for me
Oh,
for being
for
on
me?
the show.
Should I open it now or should I?
If you like, you can.
I'm going to start crying or something.
No. It's a thank you.
So do y'all want me to open it now? Or
Should he open it? For those of you who
should I open it?
reading is fundamental. Let's see. Oh, you know what? We're on a delay, so we have to wait and see if they want us to let you open it now.
Wow, I feel bad because it's so...
Amy says yes.
Amy, yes.
Camille,
Hey, Amy.
open it.
All right.
Elvia,
Camille says let's open it.
We got a lot of yeses coming.
All right. It's not going to be like a booby... I'm
No.
going to embarrass myself in front of a million people.
I just logged myself out of my own live stream.
Oh, I see. I noticed from the back. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, this is the best thing I've ever gotten.
So he's a big Prince
The
fan.
classic 1999 album.
I'm sure you have it. I'm
Not
sure
on
you have
vinyl. I don't have it on
Not on
CD.
vinyl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plastic.
Yeah. It's the first Prince and the Revolution album.
Awesome.
Has all that great art on it. Oh my God! Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can I come on your show again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's coming back. So
right.
you heard it
You
already.
give me a sign of the times next time.
He's getting orders for gifts and stuff.
Wow! Thank you very much. It was
And
great.
Calvin, this is for you for being an excellent camera guy.
Oh, thank you.
So
Is Calvin going to open his?
I give gifts. I appreciate people. And, no, he doesn't have to open it. He doesn't have to open this. But that's it, guys. Again, remember, please share this. And we'll also be sharing this on the AJC Sepia page, or Sepia, however you prefer to announce it. And thanks again, Ernie.
Well, thanks for having
and
me and
Calvin,
welcome.
and everyone.
Yeah. Come back. We'd love to have you back.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.